Walking in Air. Philippe Petit, a French born high wire artist, gained worldwide fame on August 7, 1974, when he daringly walked on a thin steel cable strung a quarter mile in the air between the newly constructed World Trade Towers in New York City. Keep in mind, he did this without permission, and he was promptly arrested after this daunting feat. How did he accomplish this tricky and dangerous endeavor? Petit climbed his stairs to success through years and years of practice to hone his talent, followed by months of secret planning aligned with his sheer desire to realize this vision, which he had ingrained in the forefront of his mind for 6 years. As a young boy, Philippe Petit found little enjoyment in school. Rather, he was interested in developing his performance skills, such as juggling and sleight of hand, a cleverly executed trick using one's hands to deceive an audience. After witnessing circus high wire acts, Petit was hooked and strung up his own wire on which to practice between two trees in his parents' backyard. When he was a young adult, he took his practice walks to the next level, walking between the tops of the two towers of the Cathedral of Notre Dame de Paris. Up next was walking between the pylons or supporting towers of the Sydney Harbour Bridge in Australia. He completed both these achievements without permission from local authorities. Yet, Petit's dream, first and foremost, was to take his act to the World Trade Towers. He had read about their construction years before he did his walks in Paris and Sydney, and walking between the towers became his sole focus. To accomplish this grand scheme went beyond his extreme talent and high wire skills. He needed help from a tightrope group of people, including someone who worked inside the unfinished towers and could give him access to the buildings. Petit traveled to New York City in 1973 to begin visiting and studying the towers in meticulous detail, even taking on disguises such as a construction worker and a reporter from an architecture magazine, so he could enter the building and the highly secured unfinished rooftop and not only get necessary measurements, but hide away the equipment he would need for this audacious operation. No detail was too minuscule for Petit, who noted everything from the color of the construction worker helmets to the routes the delivery trucks took to and from the underground garages. Like a thief might stake out a museum to steal a valuable piece of art, Petit visited the towers over 200 times to ensure that he was well prepared for this clandestine operation. Leaving nothing to chance, Petit used the information he gathered from his reconnaissance missions to build a model back in France that exactly replicated the distance between the towers. Here, he would practice his walk over and over, ensuring he was one step closer to be ready for New York City. On August 6, 1974, Petit and his core group of accomplices snuck into the towers one last time to set up their supplies and securely attach the cable, on which he would walk between the two towers. Part of the group, dressed as construction workers and holding fake ID cards, bypassed security and transported the hundreds of pounds of cable to the roof. The remaining accomplices, disguised as office workers, entered the north building and snuck in a crossbow hidden inside a blueprint tube. After hours spent eluding the security guards making their rounds, Petit and his co-conspirators were finally ready to set up the cable. Using the crossbow, the group of the North Tower shot over the cord and eventually the cable to be secured tautly to the South Tower. Around 7 a.m., dressed in his signature black V-neck sweater, black pants, and slim black slippers, 24-year-old Petit stepped onto the wire, 1,350 feet above the streets of Manhattan. Aside from a large balancing pole he held in his hands, there was no safety net, no security harness, nothing between the cable and the solid ground a quarter mile below him. Crowds of New Yorkers on their way to work on that Tuesday morning stared up in wonder at this tiny speck of a man who seemed to be walking in air. Law enforcement was quick to notice as well, and it wasn't long before they were on the roofs of the towers, waiting to arrest Petit. But what could they do but wait until Petit was good and ready and had soaked in every minute of his dream coming to fruition? 8 trips across the wire, even pausing to kneel down, lay down, and salute the sky. And 45 minutes later, Petit turned himself into the police officers waiting with handcuffs. What sort of punishment awaited Petit after his bold and dangerous feat? While originally booked for disorderly conduct and trespassing, just hours later, Manhattan's district attorney dropped all charges in exchange for a free public performance in Central Park, where Petit once again showed off his daring aerial skills, walking on a rope between 2 trees. Decades after the performance that brought him worldwide recognition, Petit still trains and performs on wires, connecting with the people who come to witness his extreme talent in action.